Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, collectors of all ages, it is Aussieverse, proudly sponsored by Comic Book Award. And tonight we are sitting down with Jonathan Maberry and Gerry Huntman to talk about their current Kickstarter, Death Poem of Sensei Ōtoro. And if you're into zombies and ninjas, this one is absolutely for you. Jonathan is a New York Times bestselling author, 5-time Bram Stoker Award winner, 4-time Scribe Award winner, Inkpot Award winner, poet, comic book writer whose work spans all different genres, and we have so much to talk about. You've worked on Black Panther, was used for a major portion of the blockbuster movie. Your comic credits include Captain America, Wolverine, Punisher, Marvel Zombies, so much more. And then we've also got your Japanese martial arts experience. Link is in the description to go check out the Kickstarter. Thank you very much, Gerry, for organising this. We really appreciate it. Thank you both for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. That's a heck of a dynamic opening credits thing you have. Wow.
Thank you very much.
It woke me up. So
we've got some people already here. Jeff, I'm reading a series called Dead Samurai. This book looks interesting. Zombies and ninjas, I'm all in. And morning, James. That means it's time for us to quickly just shout out our full lifers. These are our members that do spend a couple of bucks every single month. That does contribute to Aussieverse. We really do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. If you want to support Aussieverse but don't want to spend a cent, then all you need to do is subscribe and like the videos. But that is enough of the loving. Let's get down. That's enough of the plug-in. Let's get down to some loving. Guys, how are you both? Thank you so much again.
Well, I'm terrible. Mentally, I'm great. I have the flu. So if I look like I'm drunk or about to pass out, it's just the flu. It'll pass. So, and before we got started, I was mentioning to them that since I have a background in martial arts, in Japanese martial arts, I have kind of the samurai background. And I feel like a zombie, so I am representing the comic in the fullest sense of the word. It's method acting applied to comic book writing.
Before we do get into it, we did just get a super chat, so it would be remiss to not give this guy something here.
Thanks for the super chat, baby! Yeah, burgers and ribs.
All right, so please, I know that I just gave a few of your accolades in the intro there, but please tell the world, who are you, Jonathan, just in case they're not aware?
Well, I've been a writer of one kind or another for my whole life, and I'm one of those guys that always wanted to write. So any opportunity to write anything, and I've done some weird stuff. I've done sarcastic greeting cards, plays, the whole bit. My main gig is novels. I'm working on my 56th right now, and I've got the next 7 lined up already pre-sold. So I do one about every 3 months. So I'm doing that, doing some comic book work for a couple of different projects, a couple of different companies, having fun with that because I love comics. I was a comic book kid. And I am officially retired from teaching martial arts. I did it for 62 years, but I am now retired. And it was great. Because of that, I was able to get into things like I was a bodyguard for years. I taught martial arts history at Temple University in Philadelphia for well over a decade. And I was even an expert witness for murder cases that involved martial arts for the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. So I've been in a lot of different areas of martial arts, a lot of different areas of writing. And because of my like hundreds and hundreds of articles written about martial arts and a number of nonfiction books about martial arts, they actually inducted me into, this is so weird to say out loud, into the Action Karate International Martial Arts Hall of Fame, which I'm thinking they just had an extra one laying about, so they decided to give it to me. I mean, that's the same thing where Jackie Chan and a bunch of other guys are in, and I'm just some hairy schlub from Philadelphia, but hey. So I've had a fun, interesting life. I right now am writing, as I mentioned, a novel every 3 months. They tend to be about 160,000 words. So I am a busy guy, but I like it. I like the fast lane.
Wow. All right. Well, I don't know if you knew this, but obviously talk about comics and pop culture, but we also do music and wrestling and stuff. But Steve, the martial arts as well, and
nice.
we've had a couple of martial arts shows, so you're in the right place.
Well, if you ever do one just on martial arts, invite me back, because that is definitely. I've been a martial arts guy my whole life. Started when I was 5, and plus I watch a ridiculous amount of mostly samurai films, but a little bit of everything. Lately, I just rewatched the Ip Man series for the
so good.
Done
so
again,
good.
And all of you ever saw
about a show that you watched recently?
Yeah, on Netflix, Last Samurai Standing.
So I'm going to start that this afternoon. Actually,
It's really good.
I have it queued up to watch because the whole season's there now. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah,
did you ever see Age of Heroes? Vince Yao.
No.
Oh my God, that's like 35 episodes, one season. It's amazing. It's about the instructor who, if you ever saw the Bruce Lee film where he plays Chen Chen and he goes to avenge his instructor that's been killed, that's the instructor. It's all about that guy, and Chen Chen is introduced, near the end of the series. It's absolutely brilliant. It's one of the best fight scenes I've ever seen. So big fan.
Right. He's writing it down.
I'm writing it
Jeff
down.
Jeff wants to know what discipline.
I studied jiu-jitsu, traditional samurai family jiu-jitsu. I started out in Hapkido, Korean martial art, based on jiu-jitsu, and I switched over to traditional jiu-jitsu. Shinawara Ryu jiu-jitsu and a few other styles, but mostly Shinawara. Small family style. It's about 700 years old, and a little different from the standard samurai techniques, though, in that most samurai techniques are long, but these samurai were the guards on coastal traders, international trading ships back in the, from the 13th up through the 18th century. So they couldn't swing a sword wide, so everything was short range. So it's an infighting, a close quarters samurai style, which is really neat. And it because they traded with other countries that had martial arts, there's influences from Indian martial arts, Korean martial arts, and a few other things, and of course Chinese martial arts, and that makes it an unusually complex jiu-jitsu systems. We have lots and lots of strikes and kicks, more so than the average, because again, the influence of the sailors who are meeting other martial artists from around the world. And it's a fun system, and it came in useful when I became a bodyguard.
All right.
Awesome. Who'd you bodyguard for, mate?
Oh, geez. The short version of that story, because eventually I'm going to write that whole story out. Our company was founded by the guy who used to be Elvis Presley's bodyguard, Red West. So when Presley died, he left Red some money. Red started Black Belt Security. It's a little on the nose as a title, but he could scout martial arts tournaments. You had to be at least 6 foot tall. I'm 6'4". You had to be at least 200 pounds. I am, and you had to be at least a second degree black belt, which at the time I think I was 4th, going on 5th. 4th, yeah. And we went through 12 weeks at the FBI Academy learning kidnap prevention and a bunch of other stuff. I worked, there's 3 divisions. One was protecting U.S. oil men overseas in the Middle East. And that had a life expectancy of 9 months. So the guys worked 6-month shifts, and most of them died. Of the 12 guys in our unit who trained with us, who did the U.S. oilman thing, 9 of them died in a 4-year period. That was not for me. Second was protecting, was being diamond couriers, and nothing ever happens to a diamond courier. You never know who they are. They look just like any other schlub on an airplane. You never know who they are, and it's the most boring job in the world. I was 21, I think, when I joined. I wanted the glitz, so I was in the division that protected rock and rollers, or musicians usually, when there was a credible imminent threat. So we were not an entourage guard. We were there only for a week or two, and they'd bring it to Philadelphia. My team would take over. If you go to Chicago, another team would take over with a sky marshal on the plane. So I variously worked for Fleetwood Mac. I got kissed on this cheek by Stevie Nicks. Hey, I'm never not going to tell that story, Stevie Nicks. In fact, I have a scar on my, I don't know if you can see it. I have a scar on my forearm there. Razor cut pushing her into a limo. Worked for Bruce Springsteen for a weekend and got a meat cleaver in the shoulder. That was fun. And a bunch of other performers, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and just tons of other people. Most of the time, nothing happened. And then when it did, it was 3 very bad seconds. And, so I did it for 5 years. My last day on the job, a bullet hit the wall right here. and the words career change popped into my head. So I left that job, became a college teacher, and now the worst injury I get on the job these days is a paper cut. So writing, stay in school, kids.
Wow. Gerry, before everybody just assumes that you're his creepy uncle or brother just sitting there in the corner, please tell the world who you are.
Oh, look, I mean, actually, about martial arts, I actually got to see Jonathan at San Diego Comic-Con a couple of years ago, for the first time face to face. When we first talked, I don't know, for some bizarre reason, the topic of martial arts came up. And oh wow, we got something in common. While Jonathan's done martial arts all his life, and God Almighty, an exciting life indeed. I actually started. I'm turning 65 this month, and
I'm older than you are. So I'm a creepy uncle. I'm older than you are.
But I started martial arts 5 years ago with my daughter. I did it for my daughter just to train with her, and in the end, I caught the bug, and I've trained like five days a week for 5 years, and
Wow.
My daughter and I are going for our black belts this year.
Oh, nice.
And,
Good work, mate.
Best of luck too.
yeah,
What
thank
style,
you.
Gerry?
I go to a place called Combined Martial Arts, so its backbone is Shotokan Karate,
Yeah.
which I absolutely love. But we get trained in. We actually get trained and also graded in a lot of jiu-jitsu throwing, a lot of grappling, some Muay Thai boxing as well, and some kung fu short range acting.
I can see why the Shotokan would be a good basis for that, backbone for that, because of the postures, because they can translate to any one of those styles. Shotokan had some of the best stance work and power generation torsion work of any of the Japanese styles. In fact, the guy who was the head of Shotokan for the Western Hemisphere, Teruyuki Okazaki, he and I shared an office together at Temple University.
Oh, wow.
For 14 years. Hell of a nice guy. Hilarious guy. His students would never know he's hilarious, but he was like crammed to the eyeball with dad jokes. It was all dad jokes, bad puns. It was hilarious. But boy, when he got on the floor, I would always bring him into my martial arts history class to give a demonstration each semester. He would do a short range punch, pop, and it would sound like a gunshot. It was so fast, and the sleeve would just pop so hard. I would love to have got one of those scales to measure how fast his short range corkscrew punch was. It was just absolutely blinding. So Shotokan's a great art.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and I enjoy it. But so when we first met, that was like simpatico straight away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, later on in that convention, Jonathan and I and a bunch of other people, Chris Sakira, who can't be here, he just had surgery recently. They just wow. We just had a great time, and we shared a few brews as well, if I remember.
We did. Comic-Con without a beer on the patio just isn't Comic-Con, you know?
Yeah, you definitely need a beer at some point. We are here for this Kickstarter as well. Let's go have a look at this, because this is this looks pretty cool, man. I'm not going to lie. Let's have a quick look here. And I'm just going to swap this over.
Yeah, that art by Boris K is gorgeous.
Very cool.
He did such an amazing job with the artwork on that.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. That's so badass.
I didn't realize you asked Steve to do the sound effects. That was great. Let's have a look here. So you've got 57 backers, 16 days to go, and you're about, obviously this is an Australian money, it looks like you're close to halfway.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's try to get that more. The Death Poem of Sensei Ōtoro, 40-page graphic novel based on a story by Jonathan, and this comic script is being written by him. A powerful story set in Edo period feudal Japan, overrun by zombies. So please inform us, John, why should we buy this comic? What separates this from other zombie or martial art books?
Well, there are a lot of samurai comics, a lot of zombie comics. There are a few samurai zombie comics, but most of them are done by people who don't actually understand either the Japanese culture or the martial arts world. And this is very much in that zone. But also, it's not your typical He-Man sort of comic. The character is an aging samurai, and he has cancer, so he's ill. He's wanted a glorious death like all samurai, but he's so damn tough that he keeps surviving every fight he's in. And he's afraid he's just going to die in bed. So he winds up getting hired. He's doing small jobs, gets hired to save the heir, a baby, from an island off the coast of mainland Japan that is overrun by zombies. And he doesn't know whether he'll survive, but he's determined to save that child because then he will have earned the honor of a glorious death. And it's a fun story. I wrote the story years ago, and right now, once the comic is actually done, Chad Stahelski, the director of John Wick, and Keanu Reeves and I are going to have a conversation about him, about Chad maybe optioning it for film and Keanu starring in it, because Keanu's 60.
Oh, wow.
So that's a conversation we're going to have, but got to do the comic first. And I, as somebody who, I'm a very visual guy. I love, I've written comics. My first comic I ever bought is up there on the shelf, Fantastic 466. I love comics, and I love the visual storytelling. And one of the reasons comics make such good films is the movie is storyboarded. It's right there on the page. Mm-hmm. And the way in which Boris is a really good conceptual artist. He knows how to take any bit of art direction and give the scene real life. He has that sense of movement. You can, like this page that's up now, you can see Otoro running down the hill. You see the movement in him, and contrast against the stillness of the zombie. I mean, when you see it, you accept it as, okay, he's running very quietly. But that can be drawn wrong, and this is done right. It shows that movement. You can actually hear the quietness with which he's coming up. I mean, he really understands how to take an art direction note and go farther with it, and that's just fantastic.
Yeah. So is this the main cover that we're looking at here?
Gerry, I think
yes.
Issue 1, right?
Yeah. So this will be this will be the cover. It may get slightly modified because we're early in the project. We just want to make sure we can refine it, but it certainly will. And we're also going to be doing 3 versions of the cover. So you've got the main cover, which is more or less that. The second version will have foil associated with it, and the third one is going to be really spectacular. You're going to have a die cut. So basically, what happens is that Otoro, his figure will be die cut. You'll see him through onto the second page. But when you open the page, it's going to be a completely different scene, but with him still in that stance.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
That's cool.
And
that's cool.
So yeah, we're excited by that. We're excited by that.
And I will say, judging by the past books that I've gotten off IPI Comics, they know what they're doing with their covers, man. Whether it's foil or die cut, they're really, really cool. I was actually really blown away with how good the matron looked. Just that cover alone.
Cool.
Well, when I first met Gerry and the other guys at Comic-Con, they said that they were a comic book company, and I had just come off working for Marvel and IDW and Dark Horse. And when somebody says they're a comic book company, most of the time, it's going to be a startup, especially a comic book company you haven't heard of before. And IPI was new to me at the time. But then he pulled out. I forget which comic you had brought to show me. This thing was a science fiction comic, but the art and the covers were insane. I mean, it was as good as anything Marvel or DC. Actually, it was on a par with some of the best Vortex stuff. It was just absolutely beautiful artwork and production and everything else. And that sold me on the fact that these guys are probably the right ones, and now I know for sure, to handle a comic like this, because there's a lot of complexity in the story. And also, you can't have a comic like this done wrong and have it work. And these guys, Gerry and his team really put their hearts and souls into it and bring a hell of a lot of talent to the game too. So as somebody who's been, who's had the good fortune of working with a lot of top creators in comics, this is making me feel very comfortable. And also by seeing how this artist can interpret the direction, it will allow me to write to that art style, and that creates a harmony between the members of the art team that will, I mean, look at the pages up there right now. There's a lot of dynamism in that. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that as well, John, because looking at the images as well, a lot of your mainstream, your DCs and your Marvels and that, all the movements are so overstated. This is dynamic, but you can definitely see the martial arts in it because there's no wasted movement. Yeah, it's not over accentuated. It just fits really, really well.
Yeah, and we're gonna stick away, move away or stay away from the stylized movements you see in a lot of stuff where people don't pose in a fight. I've been in a lot of fights. We don't pose. We fight. The guy who is posing is the guy who's losing that fight. So now here we have zombies. Zombies have no hesitation. They are eating machines. They see an enemy, they see food, they go after it. So you have somebody who's up against a horde of quickly reactive creatures. He needs to be immediate and ruthless, and that is how Boris is drawing this. He's showing that dynamism, that attack. Oh, and by the way, I made a mistake earlier when I said their stuff's as good as any Vortex. I meant Vertigo. That line of comics was above and beyond DC stuff, and I, in my mind, I compare IPI to that innovative style where each comic has its own visual footprint, its own unique style. So,
yeah, no, it looks beautiful. It really does.
Yeah, so cool. I want to put a word in too for we mentioned Boris, who's a great artist, and he comes from Eastern Europe. Actually, he moved to Michigan, I think.
Yeah.
We took a great deal of effort to try to find the best possible colorist to complement Boris's work.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, and because you want. I mean, in my head, and I think Jonathan was in the same sort of level. We wanted to get a little bit of the sort of the watercolors that come from the Japanese era, get a feel for that Japanese era, and it took a long time, but we ended up getting Mariam Yasser.
Oh, she's great,
and she just wowed us, and she's in Egypt, so this is a truly international.
And that's what I love about comics in the modern era. It's no longer a bunch of guys sitting in a room. It's the world of art. And going back to Miriam's colors, we did have this discussion about the way the watercolor tones of Edo period paintings. And like I said, we're not just doing samurais and comics. We're trying to do a Japanese appropriate, Edo period appropriate piece of work. And the palette that she's using for the colors, it's just amazing. There's one where you see Otoro looking up the hill and there's a bunch of zombies coming down from a castle. Eventually, I'm going to frame that and put it on my wall because it is, aside from it being a banner for the Kickstarter, it's also just a great piece of art. It is beautifully rendered, it is beautifully colored, and it makes me happy to look at it. Also, the power of the one where you have the samurai in the full armor with the crest, that zombie in that is scary as hell. If that was in a movie, and you were coming down, visually coming down on a bunch of zombies, and that one turned to look at you, you'd be jumping out of your seat. And that's exactly what we want. So it's beautiful as well as scary, as well as accurate and effective. I mean, we're having fun with this, and we're going to get it right. We have the type of team that I absolutely trust to bring their A game and to go beyond even what I, as the writer, can imagine, because that's what a good art team does. We give them art direction, but they take it and go further. And that's it's not like writing a novel where it's you alone in a room, maybe with your dog, and that's it. Comics, there's a million emails go back and forth for just about everything, and that's how it should be, because everybody's bringing their A game, and we got to find the way in which all those disparate pieces fit nicely. And Gerry's been a great manager for this whole thing, and Chris is doing a fantastic job as well, where we've got these different talents and clearly people from other countries and all around the world, and yet it's as intimate a process as if we're sitting around a table in one room. And it's nice to work with people of that level of professionalism and that level of affability, so that when we get together to do this, we're all comic nerds working on this, but we're also aware that the fun we're having is for something substantial. So I'm a fan of this process.
Well, that's some great feedback. Let's take a look at what else is on offer, because as we know with Kickstarter, it is more than just the main project. We do have, as Gerry pointed out, you've got the main cover here, which you can get in foil and die cut and digital. But let's take a look at the different tiers and rewards. So we've got some limited edition trading cards as part of the campaign. For each graphic novel you purchase, one random Otoro card will be included. This will be selected from the first 3 of 6 Otoro cards, and additional cards can be purchased, or if you want the entire set, that's also available in the add-on section. This is pretty cool, man. One-on-one with Jonathan Maberry himself. Tell us about this one.
Well, I love talking to other creators, and let me rephrase that. I like talking to people who are comic book people. So the one-on-one, it could be just a fan, or it could just be somebody who's a pop culture nerd like me and just wants to gab for an hour, or it could be someone who is a writer or creator and wants a little inside advice from somebody in the biz. And that's an important thing for people to know. Those of us in the biz want more people in the biz. It's not competitive. Sales are competitive, but the actual creative process and the community of writers is not competitive. We who are in the biz are always trying to get other people in the biz, because when I retire, I want something good to read. And also, like most creators, probably like all creators, I had help along the way. When I was a kid, my middle school librarian introduced me to face to face, introduced me to Ray Bradbury and Richard Matheson. And they went up being mentors of mine off and on for years. They're the little things that they said, either an answer to a question or just bringing up a point, allowed me to understand both the art of writing and the business of publishing. So if I can do some fraction of that for someone else, I'd want to do that. And also, we're going to have fun. Whatever happens in that conversation, we're going to have fun, because I have fun with most people.
I was going to say it's you're selling it as a 1 hour session, but something tells me it's going to be longer than that with you.
If it goes longer, it goes longer. I have a comfortable chair, so.
What a great opportunity, especially for any fledgling artists and writers out there. Talking to someone with your experience, mate, is just sensational.
Well, also, Steve, we have, I edit anthologies and I edit Weird Tales magazine. So who knows? Maybe I'll find somebody in that, through this process that I want to publish in an anthology or in Weird Tales. Because I sometimes reserve a spot in anything that I publish, anything that I edit, for new voices. So these one-on-ones are also useful for me finding new talent, maybe giving them a little bit of a creative nudge. And who knows, that might be, I might want to publishing. So, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man.
That is awesome.
Also on offer, you've got exclusive signed scripts or comics from your own personal collection.
Yeah, let me explain those. So the Night of the Living Dead script, it's a weird thing. The script itself is photocopied. However, it has original signatures from John Russo and George Romero, the two guys who wrote and co-wrote Night of the Living Dead, and of course Romero directed it. but it's actually I bought a whole bunch from them with brand new signatures on them, and I give them out to select people. In fact, I just recently gave one. I don't know if in Australia you guys ever saw the show Psych.
Yes.
So the guy who stars in that is a dear friend of mine, and he and I are producing partners pitching an anthology that George Romero and I edited called Nights with an S, of Living Dead. We're in the process of pitching that to a TV streaming service, and so I just gave him a copy of it as well, and he's telling me he can't wait to see the Otoro comic too, which is fun.
Yeah, man. I know a friend that would love the Night of the Living Dead scripts. That'd be cool, man.
It is interesting because it was done as Night of Anubis, or Night of Flesh Eaters. The Living Dead title was the last thing they did before the movie was out in theaters. It had two different titles along the way, and it was fun. I don't know if you guys know this, but George Romero wanted to do I Am Legend, but he couldn't get the film rights. So he took them from vampires and made them ghouls, and that became Night of the Living Dead. And
I didn't know.
Oh, that's cool.
I learned that story not from Romero because I hadn't met him yet. I learned that story from Richard Matheson when I was 13. He told me that story. Now the other things in there, Rotten Ruin pack. Rotten Ruin is one of my most successful comics. It's and certainly one of my most successful novels. I mean, the series is in 30th printing now. It's required reading in 10,000 schools. It's about growing up 14 years after the zombie apocalypse. And this story is set between books 2 and 3, so it's not an adaptation. However, the entire series of Rotten Ruin is being developed for film by Alcon Entertainment, the people who did The Expanse and World of Eli, or Book of Eli. The second thing was Road of the Dead, and that was a posthumous collaboration with George Romero. He had written a script called Road of the Dead, and was supposed to be his last zombie film, but he died, unfortunately. In fact, he died 5 days after the book he and I edited came out. And so they asked me to write, the estate asked me to write a prequel comic, 3-issue prequel comic to the Road of the Dead movie. So it's Road of the Dead Highway to Hell is my comic. We had a blast doing it. Again, another fantastic art team. And so I've got, these are the original first printing, things, first printing of the issues. First issue, first printing. And then my Captain America Hell Hydra pack. This is not the Hell Hydra where Cap turns out to be a Hydra agent. I just want to say that up front. It's 5 different issues. And you can see that in the lower left corner of the graphic, you can see the Captain America one there. It's 5 different issues of Captain America, each one with a completely different art team. And we had a great time with that. And Stan Lee actually met me at Comic Palooza in Texas to tell me it was one of his favorite modern Captain America comics. I
have that actually. Hail Hydra. Yeah.
Great covers by Adi Granov. And I had a great time with that comic.
That is cool. Okay.
And again,
so
those are first edition, first printings of the comics.
Nice. Okay. Let's take a look at the rest of your team, and then we'll go through the tiers as to what people can get. Sure. So you've got Boris, the artist, probably Gerry. I'm guessing you know these people.
Well, I mean, I know them because I communicate with them, but I've never met them face to face.
Okay.
Yeah.
Colorist from Egypt. Wow. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Let's take a look at what we can do here now with the rewards.
Gerry, you mentioned you haven't met them. I've only met 3 of the artists I've ever worked with for comics.
Oh, wow.
Because they're all over the world. And two of them I only met because we were all invited to the Black Panther Wakanda Forever premiere because our comics were part of the basis of the movie. But I almost never meet the artists I work with. It's crazy.
That is funny, isn't it? All right. So if you just want to dip your toes in the water, or if you just prefer digital comics because that's the way you roll, then for $9, again, this is in Australian money, so it's probably cheaper in America. But for Australians here, $9 gets you the PDF. That's a pretty big steal, that one. And you've already got 15 backers, and all of this is due in August. of this year. $9. Wow. Okay.
That's cheap.
For a printed copy of Volume 1 with that cover that we saw earlier, $29 gets you the physical copy. Let's see here as well. Yep, you also get the PDF and the limited edition card.
Yep.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay, moving on then. If you want more than that, you want the foil, which we know we love those shiny books.
Yeah, beautiful.
$45 gets you the foil as well as the PDF and the card as well. That sounds like a winner for me. But then again, you did mention die cut for the same price, $45. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Die cut, $45 gets you that, the Volume 1 print and the card as well. All right. Now, if that is not enough for you, you can get all three covers. That's the regular, the foil, and the die cut for $105, baby. Plus all those extras on the right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, if I was not the creator and bidding on this, that's the one I would go for because I love multiple covers. I often frame them side by side.
Yeah. Then we have the IPI catch-up for $120. What does this get you, guys? Oh, it says here on the matron. That's the one that I was talking about earlier. Moon Goddess. I love Moon Goddess. That's a great book too. Sherlock Holmes Dark Detective. I have not read, though. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I want to grab that one too.
Yeah, man. I remember SK giving me Moon Goddess. I backed that one. That was a great book.
But I should add to the audience that Steve Kay, who did Moon Goddess, he's an outstanding letterer, and he's doing the lettering for Otoro.
Yeah, and he's done good work so far. So,
and he's a wonderful human being as well. He's coming back on Aussieverse soon, actually.
Oh, nice. Look for them in back.
Yeah, we love SK. So that's pretty good, man. $120 gets you all that. That's a good deal, man. That's a good deal.
It's a bargain.
Then you can also get the print of Otoro Volume 1 and Dark Detective. I'm gonna have to get a copy of this Sherlock Holmes Dark Detective.
It almost looks like Jeremy Brett there as Sherlock Holmes, which makes it even more appealing to me.
Yeah.
Well, we actually we're producing the last. We've got a series 1 to 4 for Volume 1, and that's published, done, and we've got copies still, some copies for sale, and we've got Dark Detective Volume 2, which went from issues 1 to 5, and issue 5 just came out, I think, through the retail store network, and we've got a one-off story that makes it 10. So 10 issues altogether. And it'll come out I think it will eventually come out as a graphic novel, a very significant graphic novel.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Oh, and by the way, all the covers of all 10 issues were done by Dave Elsey, the Academy Award winning special effects person. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Really?
That's awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. So now that we've taken a look at all the different ways that you can get them with all the different covers and the other stuff, let's dive just a little bit more into the actual book. What is your plan long term for this, sir? Is it going to be a few issues? Is it just a one shot? What's going on?
Well, the story is a self-contained story.
Okay.
So it definitely comes to I think a satisfying conclusion at the end of the story. There, like with anything, especially those of us who have worked for Marvel, when you say, "Well, that story's done," it's like, maybe there's always the possibility of something else.
He'll be back.
But my intention with this is to do a complete self-contained story, and hopefully have that then also become a film. That is something I'm looking at, but. The comic book version of it is something I have wanted to write for a long time, and so it is a self-contained story.
So there you go. So even if you're a little negative and you don't actually want to buy it yourself, buy the first issue because you never know how much that's going to be worth one day. Just do it for the flipping and the speculation.
Especially if it becomes a Keanu Reeves movie. And,
Yeah.
I'm working with the director of Keanu Reeves now to do adaptations of my Joe Ledger thriller series for TV. And there is a real possibility I might be doing John Wick novels and comics. So let's just say that my relationship with Chad and with Keanu is blossoming nicely. So, and they both said that they can't wait to see the comic. And Keanu's a comic book guy too. He does the Berserker comic. So he's waiting to see the comic, and that's going to be really fun. You know, we may even wind up at we might even wind up at New York Comic Con at some point, because by then they can't be at San Diego Comic Con this year, I don't think, because of the Highlander movie they're making right now. But New York Comic Con is more likely. So that should be fun.
Just to add the detail to what we're producing and what we plan to produce from a comic perspective, is that we're running basically 2 Kickstarter campaigns. We each containing effectively 2 issues of a 4-issue full series. So that's why you're getting a roughly 44 pages of content per Kickstarter graphic novel. The stuff you get out of this Kickstarter is outstanding. I mean, and also like the variant covers and this, you can't easily financially handle like die cuts that easily in the comic network. It's just too much overhead. So this is the opportunity for collectors, for people who are into the independent kickstarting type comics. This is the opportunity to get some pretty amazing product. So once we've done the 2 Kickstarters, we've effectively done 80 odd pages, which is effectively 4 issues. And then soon after that, we'll be actually releasing it commercially through Luna, through the comic network. And there'll be 4 issues with 4 covers, obviously, but and it'll be as brilliant as it was with the Kickstarter, except that it'll be the classic $4.99 comic you buy in America, if the US $4.99, and but they won't get all the cool stuff that the Kickstarters get. And look, I'm not necessarily the ultimate capitalist, but I see this as a win-win for everyone, because from a Kickstarter point of view, we get some early funding that helps with the production and also allows us to get other projects going quicker. So we win. The people who back us win because they get the coolest stuff under the sun. And then finally, it gets released through the comic network, and people win because they can buy really cool comics in comic stores. So that's the deal.
Yes. You know, I'm a big fan of the Kickstarter approach too, because I'm aside from a reader of comics, I'm a collector. So when Kickstarters for comics started coming out before COVID changed the math, where so many, and especially in America, so many comic book stores closed, so people didn't often have a place to get comics. The Kickstarter process allows the creative team to be top notch. It allows the production elements to be top notch. It allows everything to have that comfort of being funded, so that we can put every heart and soul into it and give the best possible product without worrying if it's going to run or not, because the economy worldwide is a little weird right now. So Kickstarters actually help get comics out there, and the fact that we have all these different tiers and different specialty things appeals to my collector's heart, because I every time I'm involved with any kind of Kickstarter, I always look at which tier would I actually grab. And I already have like 2 or 3 ideas in mind of which tier, if I was not me, which one I would grab for this. It's a lot of really good stuff here, and Gerry's put together this team that is bringing such creative juice to it that I think the readers, the backers especially, are going to feel not only that they've gotten their money's worth, but more, and substantially more. And that's what makes this such a fun project and make it something I'm proud of being a part of.
Fantastic.
Cool.
That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. Will you be making a collected edition when it's all said and done, you think?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear.
Look, I mean, there's lots of reasons to do a collected edition. I mean, to start with, a Kickstarter is limited. We only more or less produce what people back, and then it's gone.
Yep.
So that's why it's
Yeah.
collector. The same thing basically happens in comics, as you know. You do a print run. It's very rare for a second print run to occur. Even there's a little spot on the barcode that allows you to say, "Hey, it's a second." It doesn't happen very often. So it literally, once we do a print run, and we'll be printing Otoro through our normal printer in Montreal, Transcontinental. That's it. So for me, the graphic novel, apart from being just a fantastic, omnibus, it's the one thing that in that whole continuum where we can keep printing and keep making available as long as people want to buy them. And so so it's magic, and it's sort of needed. Yeah.
Well, we don't get to that point if we don't do this first.
Great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Is there anything else you guys wanted to go over? Anything else you want to share?
Gerry, you got anything?
I'm just trying to think. I mean, I really wanted to make mention of our artists, our creators, and I know we've already talked about it, but yeah, I mean, it's a great team. It isn't just Boris. I mean, obviously Jonathan and Boris and Mariam, but I mean, Chris Sakira is the editor, and he is an editor of excellence.
Oh, he's great.
He's a little bit. He's offline at the moment because he's just had surgery, but he'll be back online again soon.
Go, that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Recovery, Chris.
Yeah, he just keeps producing, and I mean, his most recent work was Star Trek. He did a 4-part Star Trek for IDW, and that was really brilliant. How you managed to get horror into Star Trek? Yep, he can do it.
If anyone can, it's Chris. That's for sure.
Yeah. And of course we've got Steve Kay. I do want to keep mentioning him for a couple of reasons. He is a superb letterer. People just don't know, other than that yourselves, who are in the industry. People just don't know how important it is about placement of text and what have you. And he knows it. So
he gave us a lesson once on Aussieverse that really opened our eyes. And it's funny how when you've been reading comics for 40 years, if you're not in the business, you don't pay attention to these things. And he showed Steve and I and Sharif, the other member of Aussieverse, how to make the human eye follow the story and all these sorts of things. And it's quite fascinating.
Yeah. There's a lot to comics a lot of people don't know. I mean, the writer writes the script and gives art direction. But the artist has to take that and make the characters act in the drawing. The colorist has to come in there and give it mood and tone and emotion that suggests actual movement rather than just a pretty thing to look at. Letterers are so underappreciated in comics. It's funny, Joe Hill, who did Lock and Key, he and I both got the same note from a letterer when we were working for IDW. As novelists, we want to have our characters talking a lot because we like, we're dialogue guys. And very, very calmly, a letterer once wrote to he and I on separate occasions saying, "We really love your dialogue, but at any point do you think the readers might want to see the art?" Because it was word balloon, and that actually schools the writers in how to trust that the artists will carry as their full weight of the story in the visuals, so we can dial back how much characters have to say. And when I realized that, it was a letterer who taught me that, I see really how important it is to say less, show more, and let the reader then engage. Because if you tell the reader everything instead of allowing the reader to become immersed in the story, you rob their ability to co-create the story as they're reading it. And
Wow. Okay,
a good art team can tell so much of the story. And I don't care if that means me as writer fades back a little bit. The idea is not for any one of us to get a pat on the back, but for us to collectively, along with the editors and so on, that whole creative team to be able to come up with a project that comes alive in the reader's hands when they open the page. That's what we want. And I got a feeling this is the book for that.
Yeah, and just to add to Jonathan's point, certainly when I started getting involved in the comic business side of it and the project side of it, I did see it as a sort of like a waterfall thing where you got, the writer, the artist, colorist, letterer, and then you produce. But then when you, I make it my business not to interfere with the creative process. But what I see with a good team is not a waterfall system. It's more like a whirlpool where everyone's interacting all the time and giving. And how many times, with humbly and without any ego, where a colorist says something about the drawing or the inking, or the letterer says something about the coloring or the drawing or the inking. We all learn from each other, and it's amazing. It's an amazing dynamic if you got the right team together.
Yeah, and if you get the wrong team, it's a train wreck from the beginning. And this. I think this is going to be. I think people are going to love this book. Our heart and soul is going to go into it. I think they're going to love this book. So
I love the way it's getting lobbed off.
Yeah. Well, you got to make a point with your zombies.
Yeah, I love it, and the way the blood splatters as well, especially in this one as well.
Yeah, that one's great. You can actually see
fantastic.
it. There is such movement in Boris's art, and the coloring, it's everything. I'm so pleased with what I'm seeing here, and as a comics fan, I know that this is the sort of comic I would have and read and share. So I want people to be able to buy it, read it, and share it with their friends because I think this could be important. This could be fun.
All right. Well, that has been the death poem. That has been the death poem of Sensei Ōtoro. We're going to have a word from our sponsor, and we will ask Jonathan the most important question of the night. Let's see if Gerry worded him up. Probably not.
Comic Bookaroo, proud sponsors of Aussieverse for all your comic book needs. Graphic novels, hardcovers, omnibuses, single issues. Don't forget to pre-order every Sunday at Comic Bookaroo.
Well, this looks like a fantastic Kickstarter, and I will certainly be backing it myself. I'm not sure which one I'll be getting yet, but I'll definitely be backing it myself. Jonathan, it has been an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you so much for taking your time out and joining Aussieverse today.
You guys rock, so I really appreciate it.
Oh,
thank you so much. And Gerry, IPI guys, thank you so much for organising this and thinking of Aussieverse. It really means the world to us.
Yeah, 100%.
Not a problem.
Nice to see you again, Gerry.
Yeah, look, you'll see me again.
Fantastic. When we do close the show, though, stick around because it looks like we've disappeared, John and Gerry, but we haven't. So just stick around for a moment. But we do want to ask you the most important question of the night. John, sir, if I was to say to you, what is Aussieverse? What would your answer be?
Oh, for life. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
What did you know?
Look at this guy for life. Yes, he got it right. Fantastic. Now I am backing your project. All right.
And you said you said I didn't say anything to anyone.
See,
Yes.
Gerry gave me the inside track, and also I endorse it. I'm 100% there. So yeah, for life.
Well, I was looking forward to yelling at you, John, and Gerry just ruined it. So thanks a lot. All right. We hope to have you back, John, anytime that you want to come back on and talk about stuff, because there is so much that I wanted to talk to you about outside of the Kickstarter. So maybe we can get you back on sometime. That would be fantastic.
I would be very happy to do that. You guys
Fan-
rock.
You let us
and-
know when
and
you're free.
It's,
We'll do
it's
that.
funny with podcast interviews. The ones I definitely want to come back on, the ones where I feel like I've known the host for a while. I feel like we've probably somehow in some version of the multiverse sat and had beers, talked comics for a long time because it has this kind of vibe to it. So I would definitely come back and hang with you cats.
I was surprised it's been an hour already. Otherwise, I'd go for another hour if
I thought it was half an hour.
Yeah.
My God. Yes.
We just know that people don't watch the show for more than an hour. People have got short attention spans. So we'll definitely do a part 2 where we talk about more about your life and what's going on outside of the Kickstarter. Gerry, you know that you are welcome anytime. You just message us and we organise that.
Much appreciated.
Okay, Aussieverse is and always will be for life. I will be on OmniDog's Vault in another hour talking about curating your collection and the addiction of collected editions and comics in general. Hope to see you there. We will see you next time. Thank you very much. This thing won't disappear. Just remind me later. There you go. See you later.